Hello, everyone. We are Group 20, and this is our final presentation. My name is Matthew.
I'm Neela.
And I'm Liz. We will be talking about our experiences, theories, relations of our experiences to these theories, and visions and practices.
So we're going to talk about our experiences first.
So my middle school experience is that I was in an ELD class, which consisted majority of Chinese and Spanish-speaking immigrants. There was a lack of resources such as translated dictionaries and textbooks, and there was only one ELD teacher in the whole school. The classroom style was mixed grade levels in a classroom, which meant that all ELD students essentially shared the same schedule. It consisted of 2 ELD periods instead of elective and a regular English class. It led to divisions in students with the ELD community and versus the general students. The course curriculum was just very much heavy emphasis on diction, vocabulary, grammar, and common core standard testing. And we had weekly quizzes and just analyzing a bunch of passages. And I think the only thing that made my experience a lot better were because of my parents. They were the number one biggest motivator and supporter in my educational journey. And they would oftentimes be involved in parent teacher conferences and would have progress checks with the ELD teacher. Moving on to Liz.
For my elementary school experience, I went to school in the LUSD Unified School District, and my school was poorly funded where it lacked resources for the development of exploration students, such as art, music, and physical education. And this understaffed caused a merge between grades, such as having a fourth and fifth grade classroom, which negatively affected our personalized learning and the ability to receive more personalized feedback and reinforcement. This also caused my mom and teacher to have a negative relationship with one another, which in turn caused a both negative and positive effect on my development. But in the long run, I was able to have a strong work ethic and it helped with my development of strong writing skills.
Now, with my high school experience, I was in a harder math class called Math SL or Standard Level. This is pretty much equivalent to the AP Calculus. I had confidence in my math skills, but of course, this class was going to be challenging. Of course, this was almost like learning a new language because of all these different symbols and formulas and all that stuff. All students came from different backgrounds on math, and some were really good and others not really. The teacher was John Stanger, who really enjoyed watching all the students struggle on the material. There was no encouragement or reassuring words in understanding the material. And Mr. Stanger was knowledgeable on the material, but he did seem annoyed when he had to reteach material to the students. And every new topic was more challenging than the next. Everyone was struggling. And this is where I was also afraid to ask for help. And pretty much I was afraid to get ridiculed for not understanding a part of the material. We're going to move on to the theories now.
So one of our theories was Universal Design for Learning, also known as UDL, by Rose Meyer Gordon, 2014. It recognizes that students should be taught in a variety of approaches and strategies. It provides accommodation, supports, and challenges that students face. It also reduces student barriers to learning. So principles to UDL are 1, engagement, implementing ways to keep students interested. Number 2, representation, allowing more variability in the learning comprehension with the emphasis of input and how the material is presented. Action and expression, providing different strategies to sort of showcase and boost learning, which can take in the form of games or videos. Moving on to the next one.
For Yuri Brofenberger's 1979 ecological system theory, it essentially states that a complex system of relationships affect multiple levels of surrounding environment, such as immediate and larger environment. And there are 5 different systems. In my experience, I'm focused on the meso system, which states that the interaction between the child's microsystem, such as between the child parent to teacher or school to peer sibling, can affect them, because if the parent and teacher have a great relationship, this should have a positive effect on them. But also, if it were to be vice versa, it would be negative effects.
Now, with Bandura's self-efficacy theory, this was created and gained traction in the 1970s. Self-efficacy is basically on how motivation and performance is impacted by our beliefs based on the experiences that we go through. high self-efficacy means more motivation and higher performance quality, while it's vice versa if we have lower self-efficacy. Factors that there are many factors that can impact self-efficacy. The ones that I chose for this presentation are, of course, social persuasion, which is convincing someone that they can or can't do something, one's past experience, and then vicarious experiences, observing if others succeed or fail that would impact your ability to do the same. If you see someone else with the same ability fail, then you may believe yourself to fail as well. We're going to move on to the relation of experiences to the theories.
Our experiences for UDL were that there was a lack of resources for a diverse group of students. There was a lot of passive learning with less areas for engagement. And instead of condensing the material from the teachers, they would instead make it a lot more challenging for students. Moving on to the next one.
For Bandura's self-efficacy theory, this was both Nilu and my experience. We both kind of had this idea of support and motivation being more or less, at least in Nilu's case, it's from her family. In my case, Mr. Stenger was someone that didn't really congratulate you for understanding the material. So basically, he was kind of the negative aspect. And basically, um, the overall challenge was that, having motivation to understand material was something that Nilu had from her parents who pushed her to do better. And then in my experience, Mr. Stanger didn't really have much encouraging words, even if you understood the material and if you were struggling, it got even worse. So basically, if you with motivation, if you didn't have a lot of it, you would be lowering your self-efficacy. But if you had enough motivation, like with Nilu, you would have better performance.
For the Brofenbrenner's system, two of us were able to connect with this. And in mine, I was talking about the child-parent-teacher relationship. A negative effect it had on me was that I always felt attacked. I felt like the teacher had it out for me and that whatever I did was never enough. And I felt a lack of support from her. A positive side would be that I learned to always put my best foot forward. I became competitive and I had a strong family supporting child school system and also a stronger parent relationship with friends. And my group mate had this effect with the microsystem with family and friends, which helped her become a better learner as they promoted confidence. And yeah.
We're now going to move on to the vision and practices.
So our group's vision is that one teacher should be the encouragement for students so they can be motivated to learn and work harder rather than laughing at their struggles. And students should be trained with experiences of diverse classrooms, which can be proper training or knowledge about resources to aid learning, teachers having prior experience, and lastly, restructuring the classroom setting, which can be lowering teacher to student ratio or modifying classroom routines to sort of boost student engagement with positive classroom culture. Next.
So with the first practice of vision, with teachers should be for the encouragement of the student. Teachers should have more understanding of what the students' struggles are and find ways to better understand them. Teachers who don't encourage students or put them down for not understanding should be retrained. What could happen is that they could have workshops with several teachers to discuss on how to best support their students by acting out what could happen in a class setting in order to improve things like communication skills. Teachers should also know what resources are available for their students to utilize, like mental health resources, counseling, and maybe even tutoring, just so that they can provide that to students. And then students should then be able to ask more questions without the fear of being ridiculed, which can increase their engagement and understanding. Students should also be able to fill out surveys about their teachers, basically on a yearly basis, just to see how they see their teacher. And then if something needs to get involved with retraining, then that could happen. And then, of course, this could happen on a classroom level change, but it's hard to go case by case. But it's important to have student feedback. Though policy changes can be made so that there is a focus on training teachers on how to act towards their students and having workshops in order to practice these certain communication skills.
In terms of our practice for vision, teachers who are going to be experienced in diverse classrooms, if this were to be implemented, this would positively impact families who can build positive relationships with the school and their children. but it will also boost the quality of education of the school if the teachers had adequate training and experience. It would also require policy level changes in regards to more funding for schools, so teachers they can be equipped with the right tools for students. And next, teacher having more prior experience, which can be shadowing experienced teachers. It can boost a teacher's personal morale to be more confident in teaching. And it will also require structural changes such as implementing opportunities for and training teachers to be more involved in diverse classrooms. Moving on to the next one.
For our third vision for restructuring classroom settings, we essentially want to lower the teacher to student ratio just so they have more time and attention to each student to better understand their strengths and weaknesses, and therefore being able to have a deeper understanding and retention of material, which would also allow teachers to identify areas where students may be struggling and then intervene to address these challenges. In order to do so, we would like to see school level changes such as reorganizing staffing and resources, hiring additional teachers, professional development. We would also want community involvement, just engaging parents and community members to advocate for these changes. And lastly, we would like to see policy changes and basically allocating funding to hire more teachers. We would also like to see legislative changes to provide incentives to have smaller ratios, or even changes that mandate maximum class sizes. And that is all for us. So thank you very much.